although we have many things that we can use as illustrations, as principles in that, but it has to be pointed out. I don't know. In very simple terms, I'm putting it in simple terms, I mean that we can readily understand it. AYIN tchila means that this thing is self-imposing, has its own beginning. Yesh tchila means there is a beginning that allows for this to come up. So I was thinking, among the things that we've discussed, probably the easiest way to present it is on the difference between ownership and rental. Rental has a clear definition of what this is about. You rent things because of the function, because of the service that this gives to you. Ownership does not have a means to understand what that is. As a matter of fact, ownership, as I said, mentioned time, ownership is only due to the fact that the REBBE gave us the right to ownership. To own. The world does not provide for ownership. Because in the world there is not such a profound reality of ownership. What do you own it for? What are you going to do with it? Rental is a clear worldly concept. And when you think of ownership in the world, you think in the same terms. I own it, so therefore what? What am I going to do with it? This is why we always mention, and this is something which is imperative that we think into and understand. A godly creation does not have a tchila. Ownership, in truth, as much as we're going in circles trying to explain what ownership is, if you think into it, there is not a means to explain it. Because ownership, as I said many times, is a divine principle. Halacha says that somebody owns a piece of property. It is his as long as he does not give it up, even if he doesn't even know that he owns it. In other words, the principle of ownership is not definable on a worldly level. This means ein lo tchila. There is no beginning. There is not a principle that it represents, or a function that it represents. And this is what the Rebbe is explaining over here. That there is the Gilui from the Yetzim, and there is the Yetzim. The Gilui from the Yetzim, and the Rebbe refers to it, only a Gilui, even though it's like the Yetzim. But it's only a Gilui. What does it mean it's only a Gilui? Only a Gilui means that even though it's a Gilui from the Yetzim, a Gilui means that it has its message is its functional aspect. What is it talking about? Etzem does not demand this kind of identity. Coming back to the Misholim that we have used, the first Mashal I use, it's very simple, but we have to think into it. Again, I want to alert everyone that our intelligence is not limited to worldly level. Our intelligence is a neshama root, a neshama quality. The neshama is a truth of a divine level. This is why we can talk in terms of an etzem. Etzem means a reality that defies explanation, definition. What is it talking about? Why is it there? What is its function? And if it does, you can define its function, so what is it? In the world, you cannot identify an entity as a presence without being able to define its function. What is it doing here? The principle of etzem is a statement. Please follow this. That this world is not self-defining. Who gives the world a definition? Its creator.
So how does Etzem speak to that?
Excuse me?
Say that one more time about Etzem. Etzem is that the world is not self-defining, but its definition is present.
That's right. Self-defining means that he defines based on its functionality.
Right.
Etzem is as the creator identifies it. The creator identifies it from a different level, from a different perspective completely.
We're talking about the Etzem of the world. We're talking about the Etzem of the world now.
We're talking about the Etzem of the world. The Rebbe gives it an Etzem. This is the meaning that Etzem is ein lo tchila. There is not a significance to its existence prior to its existence. In our experiences, I think we should be able to see it. The difference between a rented property and an owned property. Ownership really defies definition. Why? Because in fact ownership is a divine gift. Only the Rebbe can substantiate the principle of ownership. Ownership means you own a piece of the world. How can a human being own a piece of the world? The world belongs to the whole world. The Rebbe can give him the privilege of ownership. This is why we always mention that the principle of ownership, the human being's presence in the world, precedes his coming into the world. as we learn in the Chumash. Before the human being came into the world, the Rebbe said, let me make a human being. And he defines what his place in the world is going to be. For the world itself, the world doesn't need that. The world is a huge development with all kinds of different creatures. But I want to make a human being. This human being will encompass the entire creation, and he will rule over it. All of a sudden. Because he will represent me in the world. Me is not part of the world. The Rebbe didn't come into the being at the time of the creation of the world. It has nothing to do with the world. He's the creator of the world. And the Rebbe has chosen to make the world a real edifice, a real planet, so that the creator's spirit, the creator's reality, is also included in the world, in the form of the human being. This is what the human being has full jurisdiction over the world. The way the Gemara, the Halacha describes it, ownership, he can dig ditches, he can chop down wood, trees, he can change the entire surface, the entire reality of that which is his. An owned property, a rented property, he'll be careful what he's doing. He will use it, he will make changes for a functional purpose. This mishtay ein letchila. Ein letchila means that there is not a concept to its being prior to its being. And etzem defies definition altogether. There's no concept that can define this what etzem is. This is what the Rebbe says. Atzmusa Yisborich. I pointed out the first time we learned this. I'm looking to on page Kuf Lamed on Ois Nun Gimel, the fourth line. But the Rebbe first begins to talk about that Ein Sof should probably be referred to, if he talks about Atman, talk about Ein L'Tchila, not Ein L'Sof. Because Ein L'Tchila is a higher thing. And at the end of that line, I want to point out something. Kol she'ein L'Tchila, ein Meile ein L'Tchila, ve'atzmusa yisborich. Ve'atzmusa yisborich. She'mitziusa me'atzmusa. I pointed out why all of a sudden Atzmusa Yisborich. We mentioned Atzmus many times. And over here, there we make sure to mention Atzmusa Yisborich. What is Yisborich add to our concept of Atzmusa? Yisborich adds to our concept of Atzmusa is that this is not an entity that is within our realm. That we mention Atzmus, you have to stand up in awe. This is a different reality. And this is why, when you mention it, you immediately you take the right to mention it because I'm going to say a praise word. Without saying a praise word, I'm not allowed to mention it. It's not in my realm. How do you talk about this? It's without simplicity. And this is why after Atzmusa Yisborich, Shemitziusa me'atzmusa. Please understand, Mitziusa me'atzmusa again defies to understand. There's no way to explain this Mitziusa me'atzmusa. How do we come up with this Mitziusa me'atzmusa? When we say Atzmusa Yisborich, which means we recognize that we're talking about something supreme, superior to our idea of existence. And the only way for us to identify it is define the whole mitzvah, the whole concept of mitzvah. This is why mitzvah comes after atzmusa yisborich. As long as you're saying atzmus, as a seichel dikinian, you'll never come up with terminology mitzvah atzmusa. Seichel cannot come up with that. But when you say atzmusa yisborich, you realize that you're speaking about something of a completely different realm, different reality. To the extent that you say it in interpretation. I take liberty, I take permission to mention it. Because I'm talking something completely outside of my realm. Then I come up with this union. What distinguishes that from that which I know as existing? Mitzvah atzmus. Mitzvah atzmus is not an explanation. This is something which we come up after we see atzmus in Yisborich. We're talking about something completely different in different realm. This is union ein lekila. There is no prior justification, understanding what that existence is. If there is not prior justification, so how are we talking about it? The answer is we are talking about it with our seichel. We're talking about it with our deference to something which is higher than ourselves. Every time we mention this, atzmusa yisborich. It's not within the realm of our understanding. If it's not within, it's outside of the realm of our understanding, how do you know about it in the first place? This is what the Rebbe says right in the beginning. That the gilui from etzem. The gilui from etzem means a gilui that was precipitated, that was initiated from within the etzem itself. There was no solicitation for it. There was no need for it. The world didn't look for it. The world has not to look for it. A gilui that is precipitated, I said, that initiated from the etzem itself. That gilui, because it's initiated by the etzem, therefore it carries with it an etzem quality. Let's bring this down to our world, to our reality. Our world, which is a divine creation, I always mention an interesting thing. The scientists recognize that matter, plain physical matter, is indestructible. I always ask people who go to college, I say, please ask your professor, how can it be if it developed evolutionarily? How can it be something that is indestructible? Clearly, its existence is not of a world equality. This is how we know about Atzmus. Because in the Gilui of Atzmus, in the world itself represents something of an Etzem quality. It's only a Gilui. It's not the real thing. But it's a Gilui of something that defies explanation. This is why I mentioned many times, it's also very helpful if we reflect on this. The first day of creation, they should create a light. Choshech is natural state of the world. This is a well-known worldly perplexity. Where is the Moyer? The Moyer first came in the fourth day. This is one of the things that they find, and they use that to define Torah. It says Torah. How real is it? There's no luminary, there's no sun, and the sun first came in the fourth day. So how was the light? How was the light before the sun came into being? Not only was the light, but the Rebbe himself named it. And how did he name it? Not light, day. It's a completely different reality. This is a light that changed the entire principle of the world. The world, by principle, is dark, and this became day. Day is now has no darkness in it at all. Day is like it's lit up, not because there's some light that lights it up. It is fundamentally just like night is night, day is day. I mentioned many times, this is an interesting thing, it's blatant, that day was named by the Meibash himself. You know that after Adam Rishon came into in the situation, the Meibash gave him the whole world. He should name everything, except for a few things. One of these things is day. Why did the Meibash name day? Let Adam Rishon name day. What's the explanation? Day is a divine reality that Adam could not fathom. In order to name something, you have to go down to, you have to be able to go around it and go to its beginning, to its essence, to its basis. You can't name day. Day is not part of a creation. Then there's a godly reality in the world itself. It changes the world from being a creation, being a world, to being a godly presence. Adam Rishon does not have that capacity. He can name, he can understand all the animals and all their natures and so on, but this is beyond nature. It's an interesting thing. Yes.
Man couldn't name light either, right? Man can't name light either.
Light, yes.
Man can?
Yes. Light has a basis. It's a focused light. It has a limited function. Day is a different L completely. Day changes the entire different. It's part of the definition of world. Light means that you have a lantern and you shine light. Light does not eliminate darkness. It illuminates darkness. Day eliminates darkness, which is a fundamental change in the world. Illuminating is no problem.
But the first light didn't have a focus and a luminary.
What?
The first light
No.
didn't have a focus and a luminary.
No, that's right. It was day. It was not light. That's why it says, let there be light, and the Vayikra became Lo'er Yoim. Because that light was not light in the common sense of the word. This is the meaning of Ein Le'Tchila. And this is why the whole concept of Mitzvah Mi'atzmusai, Ein Le'Tchila, the Rebbe first brings up after we refer to Atmos as Atzmusai Yisborach, recognizing that we're talking about something in a different realm than Alma seems. That we have the capacity for, because we have the Neshama. That recognizes that there is a godly presence and a godly impact And so the Gilu is like the Etzem. It got the impact in the world and in the human being. So we mention it, but we say it's part if this is outside of our realm. Then we can come up with a definition. The definition is really is a contradictory with Mitzuyusim Yatzmusim. Mitzuyusim Yatzmusim is not kind of a definition. Okay. What's left that I feel and need to complete is what if Oyer and the Gili from the Etzem is like the Etzem, what in fact is the difference between the Gili and the Etzem itself? But the Gili we say Yesh L'Tchila, the Etzem we say Ein L'Tchila. And for this we have, if we can kind of focus in and see the difference between being in somebody's home with his presence or his absence. I pointed out yesterday, Rebbe and Zaka and Talmidov and all that, the human presence in the world was brought into the world by the Creator. The world cannot explain that presence. Ein L'Tchila. When you come into somebody's home and he's absent, he's not home. So you recognize this is somebody's home. But Yesh L'Tchila, there's a definition to this in.
Definition to the what?
To this in that it's somebody's home. When he is present, there's no definition to it. This is Ein L'Tchila. It's compelling. What do you understand? It's compelling. You have to give deference to the presence of this person.